Voters will soon head to the polls, deciding who will lead them into the future.
In Bentonville, the city's highest office is on the ballot.
It's a growing city. It's thriving, it's expanding, it's evolving.
It's steeped in history as it's racing towards the future. But what is that path? There are struggles, there are concerns.
And we all know there's traffic.
How does a city continue to grow up while staying firmly rooted in what makes Bentonville, Bentonville?
Vying for the job of Bentonville Mayor, the incumbent Stephanie Orman.
What's coming to the city is amazing.
Running against the challenger, businessman Steve Galen.
To get engaged with the community.
What are their plans for the next 4 years? Find out next.
Welcome to the 2024 Bentonville mayoral debate produced by Downtown Bentonville Incorporated. I'm Dana Schlegenhaft.
And I am Aaron Nolan. Before we begin, we want to explain why our organization is hosting this debate. Nonprofitvote.org says nonprofits are nonpartisan and rooted in local communities. They are well positioned to sponsor forums and increase public understanding of the election process and the candidates running. With that in mind, our job as moderators is simply to stay out of the way, allowing you at home to make your own decision.
Downtown Now, in partnership with 5 News, presents this debate with no commercial interruptions. Now, before we introduce the candidates, let's take a look at the rules. Both candidates receive the topics, but not the questions in advance. A coin toss determines speaking order. Mayor Orman won the toss and opted to speak last. Each response is capped at 1 minute with a 30-second rebuttal allowed.
Now let's introduce our candidates. Steve Galen is a business professional. He has lived in Bentonville for nearly 30 years. Mr. Galen, welcome. You have 30 seconds.
Great. Thanks, Aaron. Hi, my name is Steve Galen. I'm a business leader running for mayor of Bentonville. My wife and I, Susie, have been married for over 30 years. After earning an MBA from George Washington University, we moved here in 1996. We have a son and a daughter, Sam and Stephanie, who both attended Bentonville Public Schools and graduated from Arkansas. For the last 25 years, I have given back to the community as a volunteer in leadership positions for nonprofits.
And Mayor Stephanie Orman is wrapping up her 6th year as mayor of Bentonville. Ms. Orman, welcome. You have 30 seconds.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Stephanie Orman. I'm running for re-election in the city of Bentonville, and I want to be your community mayor. That's what I ran on during my first election, and I will continue to do that. I hope I've produced proven, trustworthy, results-driven products in the city of Bentonville. I'm excited to be here and have this conversation about Bentonville. We're one of the best cities in America to live, work, and play, and it's been an honor and a privilege to serve as your mayor.
Thank you to each for those opening statements. Let's begin our debate.
Many voters in our city, Mayor Orman, have expressed concerns about preserving Bentonville's unique character. They mention maintaining that small town feel that many of us grew up with, protecting our history and preserving what makes Bentonville, Bentonville. How do we maintain that unique community identity as we continue to grow and evolve as a city?
That's a great question, and one of the ways that we're doing that is being very intentional with updating our land use plan here in the city of Bentonville. We actually created in-house a map where you could go into your properties and tell us the type of property or the zoning for that property that you'd like to see. We're also intentional with creating park space in the city so that we make sure that we're maintaining open space and those gathering spaces and being able to bring people together. When we go out, again, from that collaborative approach, we're talking to the community. What do you want to see in your city and how do we come together? We were very intentional going out initially in my administration and talking to the public about different community groups and how can they feel welcomed in our city. The new Bentonville Celebration Multicultural Festival is one of the aspects that has come from that, and listening to our public. Again, going back to building the infrastructure, our parks, very intentional with that, building the connectivity throughout the city, very intentional about that. And all of those initiatives come from the public and listening to the public, and then with the direction of our team leads, showing the public producing those projects in the city.
We're going to move on to Mr. Galen. Same question. This is an important one for a lot of people in our city. How do we preserve what makes Bentonville, Bentonville?
Dana, we're so fortunate to live in a city like Bentonville, but Bentonville charm has a different opinion from different people. Is it our legacy and historic neighborhoods? Is it our great amenities? Is it our parks and green spaces? Or is it our great, unique small businesses? I think it's all of these things. We need to make sure that we're surveying the residents to understand what they believe is Bentonville charm and how we can best protect it. It's going to take an intentional plan to protect our charm. Listening, planning, and implementation. We can be the best city in America, but what is not Bentonville charm is sitting stuck in traffic because our traffic lights restrict traffic flow, or having a crumbling infrastructure, or trying to navigate all the road closures downtown at once. People get frustrated.
I want to ask one quick question, because we've talked about the physical things that make Bentonville, Bentonville.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say some of the unseen things are seeing someone on the street and smiling and saying good morning.
Exactly.
What are the non-physical things that we need to maintain to keep Bentonville, Bentonville? I'm going to give both of you 15 seconds to answer that. We'll start with Norman.
So it starts with the community, and that is absolutely what we hear about people when they come to our city, is that people look up, they smile at you. So as citizens, as residents of Bentonville, we have to make sure that we look up and we smile and we welcome you, and we keep that close-knit personality with the community. We can do that through the city and through making sure that we're engaging and networking and taking that community input and putting it into a plan, a strategic plan for the city.
We're going to move on to Mr. Galen, 15 seconds, same question.
Sure. I could tell you one thing that I've been working on since I've been on the Bentonville Library Foundation. I'm working on a community development program to utilize the new library, for which the Library Foundation raised $11 million, so we can bring nonprofits to the library and people can find out which nonprofits they can get engaged in. We need to make sure that we're giving folks in Bentonville an opportunity to get engaged with the community so they can feel more a part of the community, so we can have people smile when they're in meetings.
All right, let's move on to our third area of questions. Our friends at the Bentonville Bulletin surveyed local voters about this election. 65% expressed concerns about infrastructure. Now, we want to remind everyone that ranges from wastewater to road conditions, traffic. A significant portion were focused on specifically that traffic. Mr. Galen, you've brought this up. If elected mayor, what are some specific steps that you think need to be put into place in order to fix the waiting at stoplight or the traffic that we see getting from one point of the city to the other? You have 1 minute.
Sure. Aaron, our roads have not kept up with population growth, and our traffic signals actually restrict traffic. Who hasn't tried to turn left on 102 and waited for 15 minutes because the traffic light lets only 4 or 5 cars through at a time when there's 3 dozen? Or waited at a traffic signal when there's no one else at the intersection, you wait for several minutes. As mayor, I'll bring experts to the table and make sure that we have the best minds to put together a comprehensive road plan that's going to move people around faster tomorrow and 20 years from now. We've got good people in the city. I'll work with Dennis Burge and his team to calibrate the traffic lights so we're not making people wait unnecessarily. And I'll work with state officials and our regional partners to secure more funding for Bentonville so we can move people around faster.
Ms. Orman, what have you learned about traffic in the last 6 years, you being in office? And I want to go to a quote that you have from Axios, that the city should grow well. Can you explain what that means and what you hope to accomplish in the next 4 years of a mayorship?
Absolutely. And we have a traffic control management system, of which I believe we're the only one in the state that has that gives us video surveillance so that we can make real-time adjustments. I would invite Mr. Galen to come in and visit our traffic management center, of which Dennis Burge, yes, our transportation director, has led the team in putting together. We do make sure that we have real-time results. And from that, we did update our master street plan. We also combined that with our bike and ped plan over the last few years. And so the infrastructure, again, and going aggressively and getting the funding to put that infrastructure in the ground. All of our projects can be found at bentonvillebond.com. We're very transparent to the public to make sure that they understand what projects are out there and what projects are taking place, to make sure that we do put the long-term infrastructure and address the traffic concerns as we continue to grow here in the city of Bentonville.
Is there an area, and either one, but very quick answer here, is there an area of town that maybe needs more focus than others when it comes to traffic and infrastructure? Mayor?
Sure, I think several of our highways are concerns that we have traffic concerns on, and we're working now to be able to put together plans that we can showcase to RDOT to be able to have that combined funding to hopefully make those projects happen. And also, we just are completing our 8th Street project, and so all of those signals will be coordinated through our traffic control management system, and opening up those east and west ways, and then also looking for those connector roads on the north and
you
south
mentioned
corridors.
Arkansas Department of Traffic. Some of this as a city goes through Highway Department, which is the state. Very quickly, Mr. Galen, where's an area of town that we need the most help?
Oh my gosh.
In traffic alone.
Right, if I only have 15 seconds, I'm going
Yes.
to have to pare it down.
Yes.
I mean, Highway 72, Airport Boulevard, 102, Walton and 102. We have so many areas where we're restricting traffic flow and people are grinding to a halt. My opponent's had 6 years to address this problem, and she's talking about having plans now. I'm not sure how much time you need to actually put a comprehensive road plan together. In business, that's what you do. You plan, you estimate, you forecast, and you actually do something.
We're going to move from traffic now to housing affordability. And this question's for Mayor Ormond. According to the Center for Business and Economic Research at the Walton College of Business, the average price of a home in Bentonville has risen 74% over the last 5 years, now reaching $528,000. How do you plan to ensure that Bentonville continues to offer attainable entry points in the housing market for everyone, from service industry workers to industry leaders? You have 1 minute.
Sure. So this is a national topic, talking about affordable housing. And one of the things the city of Bentonville has done has been very intentional about talking to the public, gathering community input. We also had a task force, and we're taking through some of the recommendations from that task force. One of the things we're back into now is community block grant funding, which I believe the previous administration had taken us out of, and so that we're able to take those resources, funding resources that either you use or lose, and put them back into the community. We are also moving through zoning improvements like cottage zoning that has come through, so you can produce smaller houses or sized houses in the city of Bentonville. We're also getting ready to move on a concept called pattern housing that we think will give us more predictability from housing design, and also will create more of that sort of missing middle housing, which is a lot of the research in the city of Bentonville comes back to that missing middle product here, and we're really trying to do that, and as well as work through all of our processes to make them as efficient as possible to be able to produce the product here in the city of Bentonville.
Mr. Galen, same question. Varying price points in the housing market, it's a huge concern for people trying to get into our city.
Exactly. So just a couple facts. Since my opponent took office in 2019, home completions are down 43%. Home starts versus last year are down 50%. We're just not building homes to meet demand, and we're driving up house prices, which is also driving up rents and property taxes. One big reason is there's more red tape and bureaucracy in city government. Home builders have shifted away from Bentonville because they view Bentonville as too costly and too difficult to work with. That's a problem for all of us because a lot of these folks still work here and they're commuting in, making our traffic terrible. As mayor, I'll remove the red tape and the roadblocks to make sure that we can build the homes people want. Single-family homes, cottage homes, townhomes, condos. That's what people want, and that's what we'll start building again. I want my kids to be able to afford to live here.
We're going to move to the next question. Northwest Arkansas, Mr. Galen, is growing. 36 people a day are moving into the area, and Bentonville is no doubt a major draw, not only for its role in the global retail community, but also for its natural beauty and its outdoor recreation, with construction projects visible around every corner. We see them, commercial and residential developments in our city. Mr. Galen, how would you work with the developers and the residents to manage growth while being mindful of its effects on the day-to-day living of folks in Bentonville?
Sure. We're not managing growth well in Bentonville. There's many instances where large-scale developments will be dropped on a site that doesn't have the infrastructure to support the growth or the roads to support the extra traffic that's going to be generated by that development. That frustrates a lot of people in Bentonville. They're sitting in more and more traffic because we're not managing it well. We need to work with developers and the land use map to actually have meetings with them and say, these are the types of homes we want. What can you bring to the table so we can build homes so that everyone, including young adults, can find a home that meets their budget?
Mayor Ormond, with Plan Bentonville guiding the future plan use in our city, how do we manage the scale of construction projects while maintaining the quality of life for those of us that live there?
That's a great question. And one of the resources that we're trying to use right now is the land use plan. And we were very intentional about going to the public and creating a land use plan that people could talk to us about. We also want to educate the public about our master street plan. We want to make sure people understand where roads are proposed and planned. We want to work with our developers for that long-term infrastructure and getting it in the ground so that when these planned units come through, there is a game plan around infrastructure. And it does take collaboration with the existing neighborhoods to calm down any fears of things that might be coming that might cause more traffic or might cause flooding or different things, but also working with the developers to bring them in on those conversations and make sure we're creating a quality product that both long-term residents and both developers can come together on and truly make Bentonville a better place to live and work and play.
Mayor, thank you. May was a tough month for Bentonville. A storm changed a lot, causing destruction across our city, homes, businesses, schools, the trail system, all affected. Mayor Ormond, you were on the streets right after that storm hit on Memorial Day. What did you learn? How would you enhance disaster response moving forward? And how much resolve did you see in the city as well?
So it truly was inspiring to come out immediately after the storm. And we got to our command center, we saw all of our departments put their emergency management plans in place and distribute it throughout their departments. So you saw your street crews go to work just clearing the roads. You saw your emergency response crews out knocking doors, trying to make sure everybody was safe. You saw immediately our electric crews and our water and sewer crews out trying to find leaks to get the power back on. And from that, we also started to utilize the community, our dispatch center. We were taking in over almost 1,000 calls that evening from the community, and to see that team work together and then push it out to our teams to be able to make sure everybody in our community was safe. It's been a process, learning everything from that initial emergency response night from the disaster to where we currently are with getting the cleanup throughout the city. It has truly been a collaboration from our team, our city teams, but also our mutual aid cities around us, and then the community. The community has been absolutely inspiring with this natural disaster, and if we didn't have all of that, we didn't have that collaboration and leadership, you would not see the type of results and the type of response that you see currently in Bentonville.
Mayor, thank you. Mr. Galen, you have been critical of the response. Mm-hmm. What policies would you put into place if elected mayor of Bentonville that would change the emergency response from an evening very similar to what we saw in May?
Well, the thing that's most frustrating to me and a lot of voters I talk to when I knock on doors is that the city had no pre-approved plan ahead of time for a disaster such as the one that hit us on Memorial Day weekend. We had no pre-arranged contracts with folks that would remove vegetation. It took us 3 weeks before we had a contract, and it took us another 10 days before they started removing debris from the roads. Now, one thing I will comment that the mayor is absolutely correct on is that we did have a lot of people coming out of their garages with chainsaws, and I think it was really the citizens that removed all the road debris, not the city workers. But from my perspective, going back to your original question about acting like a CEO, in business, you prepare for disasters or contingency plans like this. We paid over $6 million to this firm, and they left after 2 months. And when I walk around town knocking on doors, there's still a lot of tree limbs down that haven't been removed.
For time,
the
we need to
citizens
move on,
expect
Mr.
more, I
Galen.
think.
I'm going to give you 15 seconds to respond to that with Mr. Galen's concerns about the
So
plan.
we've spent thousands of hours with our crews immediately 2 weeks from the storm. We restored power within a matter of days. So to say that our crews weren't out, to say that they weren't out cleaning the roads is absolutely not true. And I think if you go and talk to our community, they're going to tell you that same story. We have to follow the processes from a FEMA perspective to make sure that we're documenting all that so that we can be financially responsible and lead from that manner to make sure we get the funding back for our taxpayers.
I need to wrap you because we have a limited amount of time. We've got one final question. We're going to give you a minute each here. Dana.
Okay.
We're going to move to business in Bentonville, specifically small business in Bentonville. Downtown business owners have been very transparent about the challenges of running a business in downtown Bentonville, very growing downtown Bentonville.
Yeah.
We see it every day. What feedback, specific feedback, have each of you heard from these small business owners in our downtown, and how do you plan to address these challenges as we continue to grow? We'll start with Mr. Galen.
Thank you. You know, we have so many great small businesses in town, like all the shops and restaurants around the square. But when I talk to these small businesses, they tell me the city is actually making it more difficult for them to stay in business. They're frustrated that the mayor added an extra business fee earlier this year to record information that was already available from other sources. Even the Democrat Gazette said it was a bad idea. Businesses tell me there's poor to no communication from the city. The city feels no accountability when there's projects that are going to impact their business, make them lose revenue, and they're not brought in on discussions on projects in advance when it could negatively impact their business. As mayor, I'll make sure we have our small business in the rooms when we're talking about projects that could negatively impact their business. We'll make sure we're removing the roadblocks so these small businesses can thrive.
Mayor Orman, I know you've spoken to business owners in downtown Bentonville as well. What is the feedback they've given you, and what do you plan to do moving forward?
So I think what he's talking about is we did a business registry, and we were trying to make sure that we know about all of the businesses that are in the city of Bentonville. What we've also done with that is we have combined our business registry with our code compliance form, which was very complicated for businesses. And so we've made it actually a much easier process, and we've actually also waived the fee to make sure that we can have businesses register with us. They can have that direct contact to us. So if they have any questions, they can easily contact somebody within the city of Bentonville. We're constantly thinking about our businesses through the construction. We're actually moving some construction dates going forward on our promenade to be able to make sure that businesses can be open during some of their prime seasons. So the feedback that we've received from our small businesses is that they love Bentonville, that they're thriving in Bentonville, and we will continue, and the city's going to continue to grow, and they're going to continue to be successful in our city because of that. So we really work with our small businesses. I have a personal heart for small businesses to make sure, and I think that we do have the large corporations in Bentonville, but at the heart of our city are our small businesses.
Thank you, Mayor Orman. That concludes the debate portion. We promise both of you 1 minute for closing statements. This is your chance to appeal directly to voters. Mayor Orman won the coin toss. You will speak last. Mr. Galen, you have 1 minute.
Great, thanks. Bentonville needs a mayor that knows how to lead, like a CEO. We're essentially a corporation. We have a $250 million annual budget and over 625 full-time employees. I have 38 years of business experience, plus education focused on decision-making and years of leadership training, which is why Bob McCaslin, Terry Coberly, and Troy Galloway have all endorsed me, because they know I have the skills and experience to lead the city. Bentonville is failing its citizens and their taxpayers. Children walk downtown in the streets because there's no sidewalks. Our roads go unrepaired. Our infrastructure is crumbling. Our housing is at a crisis and we're not building homes to meet demand. And our roads simply can't handle the 64,000 residents we have right now. I care about Bentonville, which is why I'm running for mayor.
Mayor Orman, your closing statement.
I'm running for re-election in the city of Bentonville because we have one of the best cities in America to live, work, and play. Mr. Galen likes to focus on anything negative that he can possibly think of, and I just don't believe that that's the city of Bentonville. We will continue to grow with a strategic plan. We will continue to serve the community and listen to our community and make sure that we are implementing that public input and make sure that our city is a city that you want to live and work and play in. Under my leadership, the city has grown. Millions have been invested into the city of Bentonville. Infrastructure is getting done. You can check it out at bentonvillebond.com. We continue to put in sidewalks. We continue to work with our businesses. We continue to work with our schools in the area to make sure that we have a successful city. You're seeing announcements from everything from in industry to outdoor recreation to just a few days ago, healthcare. What's coming to the city is amazing. We have a team that leads the city and produces results. And I would appreciate your vote in November.
I want to take a second to thank you both. It's not easy to debate. We appreciate you both being here, educating the voters.
Yeah.
We appreciate your passion, and it only advances things in Bentonville when we have passionate people trying to lead. I encourage you both, no matter what the end result is, let's work together.
Absolutely.
And you're going to wrap this thing up.
Steve Galen, Stephanie Ormon, thank you so much. Thank everyone for watching at home. That wraps up our Bentonville mayoral debate. Election Day is right around the corner. November the 5th is Election Day. Thank you again so much for joining us. Thank you so much to our partner here at 5 News. Have a fantastic morning. For Dana, I'm Aaron. We'll see you next time.
Okay.